it's Open House Thursday on Your View, and we're still themed YK today. YK in the building.
Yo.
But still in the YK mood.
It's a month-long celebration.
Yes.
So people were wishing her happy birthday on Tuesday. It's not her birthday yet. We're celebrating her all through the month.
Yes. YK is going to be 60, May 24th.
Yes.
May 24th, that's the day, but we are just gradually in the YK mood. How do you like our compliance today? The hair, the shoes, I bought my stilettos today to look very YK. How are you doing, YK?
I'm fine. You people made me cry on
Tuesday.
And the video, people now started sending me the videos. I said, my cousin called me and said, YK can't be power.
You lost your power, a little bit of your power.
We want to make it being in touch with our emotion is powerful. It's a show of power. It's a show of being confident in yourself that you can express yourself.
Another one said, fellas that are being emotional. Wink, wink.
How are you doing, YK?
I'm fine. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
People are sending me things for the party. Someone is buying champagne for me, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. Champagne is not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Right.
So he says he's taking over the champagne for me.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm grateful.
And it's strictly my invitation, YK.
It's strictly because of COVID.
Yes.
You don't have to be COVID compliant. We don't want super spreader events. And
looking forward to the food, good food. I'm looking forward to the
hopefully,
food.
Hopefully.
After that day, I'm not eating rice again because I'm waiting for. I'm still.
You're not eating rice now till that day.
I'm eating rice. Yeah, okay. Maybe I should stop eating rice. That day I want to eat.
You always look for.
Anyway, start eating chakwe. I like the hat.
Good. Yes. So
this scarf is becoming very famous.
Oh, okay.
Many of us use this scarf.
No, but the scarf is just we just had to put the scarf into it. That's YK's signature. The color must rhyme one way or the other. But I was going to banter on something today, and it was about the fact that leaving your size. And I had a conversation with my husband. I will not share that one. The one I will share is the one BC was having with her PA yesterday. And she was like, you took Uber, you took Eileen app, that you're young, you never reach, enter public transport. And my PA was laughing because I'd had that argument with someone around me that you cannot be saying you don't go out because you don't have money for Eileen cabs. You should be living within your means. Does not mean that live reasonably. Don't do beyond yourself. If you are not rich enough, don't do. Live within your means. And many young people are in that space.
But she doesn't go out. She's waiting till she has enough money to...
But she needed to go somewhere, and she really needed that place. So she was not saying she didn't have enough money, and she lost an opportunity. Because she was waiting for... let's be wise.
Me, that I had my... I just got back season when I was fresh, and they lost item. They stole my car. And then I had no choice but to enter bus. The first time my boss had this bus that made me go to UBA on the Marina from Ikeja, told me to enter public transport. I was crying. I had never in my life entered public transport. I will never forget this woman. She didn't care. Whether you both you hear it today. I went to Marina. I cried all the way there. I cried all the way back. I was scared. I lost my Bluetooth. They stole it. They could see that this one never. They saw. I almost lost my phone, but somebody helped me. So it's a terrible experience. But you're right. Live within your means. There's a phase. It will pass. We've all done the Okada now, and it's most of us have.
Me, I've done bus.
Done bus. There was a phase for that.
Where to school and from school every day, boss.
Don't be rich until you are rich. Don't look rich until you are rich.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
I love the combination.
Thank you.
So where's the YK? The hat?
Yes, the hat.
Yeah.
Then I tried to just do some browns, and you know how you like to just make sure everything is on point, the colors on point. I think what we're still waiting is to get our pouches to match our outfits. Then we know.
They are really
YK. The producer has said everyone else is a counterfeit. There can only be one YK.
Yes, true.
All the rest of us really do look like counterfeits right now beside you, but we're truly inspired by you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you,
I was really touched by your response to your first gift. YK was like, don't ever give me flowers. I don't like flowers. What? So when she now responded, I was like, you don't know what she wants until you got it.
Yeah.
But I know it was more about that, you know, the
How have you been able to care for the flowers so far?
The flowers I put on the table, the cactus I put on the windowsill so they can get sun.
Yes.
And because you know you're not supposed to give them too much water or they will die.
She's already a plant education.
My niece, the first one went, touched it. She needs cactus. You don't know it's cactus. Why did you go there? Then the baby now went. Then came with all the cactus. The cactus in her hand. I said, you know what? You all learn the argument.
Yes. All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
We're going to start with The Nation. 27 abducted forestry college students freed after 57 days. Nigeria set for 5G technology. I have to read that story. Banks directors back CBN's action on First Bank. It's Chelsea's versus Manchester City. Lagos supported businesses with 940 million naira. FIRs deduct cash from tax defaulters' bank accounts. And why power supply must be prioritized, says Elumelu. Okay, which story are we taking in The Nation?
The students that were released.
Okay.
So 27 of them were released yesterday. There were 37. 10 had been released before, and now they took them straight to the government house. The commissioner was there to receive them. Their parents, they're taking them straight to hospital.
All right, let me go on a quick break. We have a bit of, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, FIRS, one of that story in Nation.
A statement by the boss at FIRS, Abdullahi Hamad, said that government is going to deduct tax from the defaulters' account. Companies that have defaulted from paying their taxes accounts, they've been given the notice. And he's calling that they have within the next 30 days to approach FIRS directly to negotiate how they want to pay back what they owe the government. But if they don't, in line with the Section 31 of the Act, the FIRS Act 2007, they have a right to deduct from the accounts of the companies that have defaulted. They also issue the same to MDAs, giving those ones 60 days to pay their the defaulted amounts they are owing the government. So we're waiting to see how this will be implemented. But if you're a business owner and you have gotten a notice of default, quickly go and pay before you just receive alerts.
All right, so there was an MOU that was signed between NCC and NICOMSAT at that event, saying that they've started the plans to put out the 5G technology in Nigeria. As many of us know, other countries like South Korea, US, UK, South Africa, China, Kenya, and others have already begun deploying the technology for 5G. And Nigeria is about to start ours, and we've actually begun the preliminary since 2019. But now, it's also in the technology of 2G, 3G, 4G, and now we're just getting set for that 5G technology. And I think that Nigerians should accept it and not begin to start that conspiracy theories.
Yeah, speculation.
You know those cables they've been
laying? Yes.
The color cables.
Yes, I
think that's part of the 5G.
Well, what the governor has said, that's what they're doing to increase the bandwidth for technology in schools. So they have free internet, free internet in schools. It's possible, you're right. But what the governor did say at the interview that he recently had was that they laid the cables across to have free Wi-Fi in public places and also in schools.
I'll tell Tony Elumelu story quickly. So speaking at the TV station, Tony Elumelu, the group chairman of UBA, mentioned the fact that power is essential and power should be prioritized by the government. Every industry relies on power, that Nigeria currently should be at like 100,000 megawatts power supply to meet the need of businesses within the country, and we're barely at 5,000 megawatts. He also mentioned the fact that transmission lines should be strengthened. A whole lot needs to be done because we can't see true progress if we don't fix the power segment.
All right. Let's move on very quickly to the Punch. Boko Haram attack plot on National Assembly, VIP locations, causes scare. Picture here of protest, justice for Inyobong. That's Akwa Ibom's governor's wife leads protest over the slain job seeker. Revenge-seeking cultists attack OPC men in Ondo, killing 6. Southern governors meet scheduled Delta summit over insecurity. Ogun residents protest as gunmen abduct driver and 3 passengers. Division emerges in APC as Adeyeye attacks Fayemi over members' suspension. And government approach wrong. Ransom payments won't end kidnapping, says Obasanjo. Major headline, Mariam. Which story? The picture story. Go ahead.
The wife of the governor of Akwa Ibom State led a march yesterday against the murder of the 26-year-old Inyobong Umoren, and they walked all the way to the government house, and then she also addressed the protesters, and she said that she would like to reiterate the position of Akwa Ibom State government and assure that there will be justice not only for Inyobong Umoren, but for all victims of gender-based violence in Akwa Ibom State. And then the Commissioner of Affairs also, they talked about all the different abuses that women and females face, and that they should unite all of them as women, you know, for this common cause.
Right.
I'm happy to see the wife of the governor leading a protest like this and lending her voice to something like this so powerfully, because sometimes we ask the questions, well, you know, where are the women? Where? Yeah. Yes, but to see her do that, I think is a powerful message out there.
Suspects, right?
Oh, yes.
So there's no issue like that. You know, usually when this happens, usually when there's a miscarriage of justice or something. But in this case, they've arrested suspects.
Yes, but then they're saying that going forward, anything that has to do with gender-based violence, we're right on it, and we have our support for it. That's it. Yeah.
The major headlines.
Yes, please, YK.
Yeah, the senators, the lawmakers, have received a threat saying, no, not a threat, a report from the security agency that Boko Haram is coming to attack them. Yeah. So they should all be very careful, and they should start using the presidential gate. They shouldn't use the major.
They're telling them.
I'm telling you. So
I read that the major gate again. That several senators confirmed that they got the several lawmakers that they got the report. They some showed the press. The press got hold of the report as well, of the Punch, and then one lawmaker said he is not even going from Southwest. He's not even going there at all.
As you see me so.
Only when there's major.
No, I paraphrase. Like, as you see me so, only one time you'll be seeing me. Only when it's important you see me here.
Major event is when I will be here. Yeah. Just leave me in peace.
That's why they should be paid only when
they sit.
But it's
not funny.
Do you know how the government, how we will reduce the cost of governance at the chambers if they are only paid when they sit? Because currently they have enough security details, and now they'll be increasing those security details when we have a security challenge nationwide.
But it's scary. The response is actually, for me, the response is not even a good response, because I would expect that they will be saying, don't worry, we've got this covered. We're here, we're brave, we'll sit down. Nothing's going to stop us from doing the work of, of Nigerians. That is what I would hear. And then that would give us hope. But if they're at the top are saying...
Southwest, Yoruba people, we are very like our life. Go. We don't want
our parties. Always thinking that they don't party coming up very soon. But it's not a funny joke. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Daily Sun, jubilation as 29 Kaduna students regain freedom. Enugu boils as Father Mbaka disappears and reappears. Hashtag NSAS Lagos disperses $2.47 million to affected business owners. 2023 key to averting disintegration, says Obasanjo. Buhari will fix security challenge, says APC governors. Umahi charges FG to address reasons for agitation in the southeast. And Imo prison attack, 1,200 still at large, says NCS. Okay, which story are we taking, Daily Sun? I was going to start with Father Mbaka's story.
Okay,
yeah, that story. Like, let me take that story. So there was a disciplinary kind of meeting that was called where Father Mbaka was asked to come around to, and I think his colleagues were there saying that, listen, he needs to keep quiet for the next 30 days.
The Catholic mission, right?
Catholic mission. The regulatory body.
Yes.
We called him for a meeting, saying that he needs to pipe down for 30 days and he needs to be quiet. And in fact, they're planning on even taking him to Rome even after that 30 days because of his recent utterances, I believe, that Soros kind of aggravated the polity. Now, so he was supposed to be at Mass.
People felt
that he was arrested because he didn't show up at that meeting. And because that happened, social media went crazy. Everybody just started posting, oh, he has been kidnapped. Oh, they took him. DSS took him. That one took him. And obviously, protests started almost immediately. And then, thank God, after the meeting, he came out and said, nobody took me. ESS no arrest me. I wasn't arrested. I was only called for a meeting. But it just shows you again how something had the impact of social media. Something happens, and before you know it, because people started tweeting, even celebrities started tweeting about it.
And the news. Yes, we should learn to confirm the news.
I read the papers this morning, and one of they destroyed a lot of property. They attacked the bishop's house. They attacked cars. You know, and he wasn't arrested. You know, so we really need to be circumspect in what we share.
Right? Yeah.
We'll get evidence that is real before.
The last person they told to get evidence was in trouble. Hey, how are you doing? Go ahead, please.
I want to take the prison break story. So we remember that in Owerri, Imo State, there was a prison break, and the Nigeria Correctional Services, let's stop calling them prisons, have mentioned that 600 inmates actually voluntarily came back into their facilities, but that about 1,200 that escaped are still at large. And they're letting people know the dangers of allowing fleeing inmates to hide within their community, saying if you know the persons that came to your community was in prison before, report to the authorities because it is dangerous for you to house a former inmate while he's supposed to still be in custody of the NCC.
I remember they caught some in Ghana trying to escape. So.
Yeah, so the Governor Sanwo-Olu has given out 940 million to businesses that were affected by can you confirm yours? Did you receive yours?
No.
Did you apply?
No, I didn't apply.
Okay, but
I didn't even know they were applying.
So there were, according to the report, there were 10,000 businesses affected directly and about 40,000 indirect.
We were not affected by NSAS.
Okay, yeah.
I was affected by NSAS.
And you didn't apply now. I mean, I remember they were talking about it. So anyways, according to the report, 10,000 direct businesses were affected and about 40,000 indirectly were affected. And they've been able to give out between 50,000 and 5 million naira for people to rebuild their businesses. So
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, because it was much needed.
I think
it was much needed. A lot of people.
If you got the money, please come out and say you got the money.
Yeah.
They lost money.
Yes, there were many losses.
Property. No.
But I think if people got the money, they should come out and say they got the money because usually we are quick to say nobody got the money. When you now get the money, you now don't say anything. Come out and say, I got the funding, this was how we came in, because we need to give credibility to the good work the government is doing when they do it, so that it's not like
when they don't do it,
it's not just that. Governor can sign it out, but the money doesn't reach
exactly
people. So if you haven't received, quickly shout, I haven't received. Yes, that governor self can know.
That you're not received.
People are shopping the money.
No.
You don't get one leg.
Moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune. 2023 will either birth a new Nigeria or ground it. I wish I read that story. Who has that story? I would love to hear that. It will be suicide of FG to reduce workers' salary, says NLC. Over 40 million sickle cell patients have no access to medical care in Nigeria. Reps members cry out. FEC approves 6.2 billion naira power projects. 4 killed in Ondo town. Chieftaincy crisis. Governors imposing 24-hour curfew. Kaduna, 29 kidnapped college students freed. Warlords gradually taking over Nigeria. Northern Christian elders warn. Okay, let's take the major headline.
So former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said that 2023 would either be the year of the emergence of a new Nigeria or a new federation, or that is when we will slide into dissolution. And he says that we should all work together to make sure that we birth a new federation. And that all those calling for division, for war and everything, he says, okay, if the Yorubas take a country, the Igbos take a country, the Hausa Fulanis take a country, how about all the other smaller ethnic groups? What countries would they take? And where would they go? That they will still, even those ones will still be oppressed as small countries. And so that it's best that we all work together. Then he talks about the paying of ransom, that he says is folly to actually pay ransom, because what it means is that you're encouraging kidnapping. He says, but on the other hand, if you decide not to pay ransom, then make sure you're heavily equipped to handle situations like that. You know, there are other responses to it. People said that, well, they've always paid ransom, even during the past administration with Jonathan. It's just that they never said it openly that they were paying ransom. But right now, I think we're in between the devil and the deep blue sea. You pay, you don't pay. I mean, these are lives on the line. What we really need to do is just get our act together and fight this thing.
All these past leaders talk, because what is happening in Nigeria today is from years and years, decades of decay.
Yeah.
And all of them are to blame. He, for one, has ruled twice. So if I'm a past leader, anything, I will just shut up and just be praying that Nigeria doesn't...
But they said something about hindsight. Something about speak.
To speak and say what?
About even from your failure.
From experience. When he was there, what did he do to solve? Because it's not... Yeah, today, what we are facing today...
You're right. But you see, if we keep going back to what did they do, we will not fix any problem. We can all sit down and do a whole lecture on what they do and not do. But if we want to fix this country, we need those people to come and share their experiences.
Don't talk for the press. Go and meet the president. I don't have access to the presidency. If I have a solution, I don't have...
This man has written letters.
I don't have access to the president. Go and make sure... Look, take advert in the paper. These are my solutions.
I get you, because actually, former presidents are allowed at the meetings.
Oh, they have their...
but he speaks up.
At the fake meetings.
And sometimes it's reported what he speaks and what he says.
So I'm buttressing what she's saying, that our former president Obasanjo should have access to our president. If he doesn't, he should let us know.
They do, and they report when they have those conversations.
They are having access. They should go and tell, because
he's not doing it.
It's one thing to tell, from that person to not to do.
From our independence till date, Nigeria has steadily gotten worse.
Right. Yes.
The decline is there. Right. I know how Nigeria was when I was growing up and how it is today. So I have watched the decline. I am 60 almost. So, and I've watched the steady decline. I was talking to I used to take bus to school. Now we cannot let our children go to school by bus. Can we take them? Because you're afraid of kidnappers. In my day, nobody was afraid of kidnappers now.
So the issues
All right, let's move on to Vanguard. Relief as kidnappers released 29 Africa students. And let's find a story of not taking 22,000 Nigerian children infected with HIV annually, says UNICEF. Insecurity reps urge FG to suspend 2021 population census. FG approves 5G deployment. Talked about that. Let's find a story. Drama protest in Enugu as Mbaka vanishes. And will Southern governors get it right this time? I really wanted to read that story, but I didn't get around to it. Let's take the UNICEF story. Mariam, you have that story?
Yes, I do. The UNICEF is saying that about 22,000 Nigerian children get infected with HIV annually, and that 32% is from mother to child transmission, and that 1 out of 7 are infected monthly by HIV. And many of them do not even have access to treatment. 2/3 of them do not have access to treatment. And anyway, it's just trying to say that they are going to put all their efforts and work towards making sure that we reduce the number. Yes, it is shocking statistics. Given how much sensitization and education you would expect, you just assume that many people. But remember, there are many Nigerians living below the poverty line who are uneducated, who also do not understand the importance of these things, going to hospital, the lack of health care and access to health care. So all these things will contribute to these numbers that we're seeing right now.
And there was tension in Abuja yesterday when hundreds of, what do you call them, headsmen from Niger Republic walked in with their cows, their goats, their motorcycles. So everybody in Sabon will say, well, everybody was running health cars. Yeah, they've come. But they are on their way to Bauchi.
And we're passing within the town or through the... Isn't there a path that they say they follow?
Right. Well, I was going to take the story on the Southern governors. Well, it doesn't really say much. They had a meeting, and the article was just telling us that these have been, about 21 years they've been having these meetings where the Southern Governors Forum come together to discuss. And I think the first one happened under Ashwaju's leadership. And many of these meetings was to address about the socioeconomic factors affecting the southern part of Nigeria and how they can actually be able to elevate that entire region. So yesterday's meeting was quite important. There were 17 of them, but 15 attended via virtually. And we don't have what was said, but at least I'm happy that they are having a meeting to see what they can do collectively to hopefully have a unified front towards this issue of insecurity.
Bring past governors, bring past president, everybody come and solve this problem.
Unfortunately, we have
to address what is happening in the East. Governor Mai was saying the government, federal government should address what's the root cause.
Interestingly, I haven't heard them say something about it, have
they? Because the East have been agitating for concession of governments, the next administration should come to their side. That's one of the issues they've been having, that they need to be equity.
Violence about?
So no, that was what caused this major clamor. That until they ask them, we will not know. So federal government, ask the people in a region of Nigeria that is clamoring for something, what they're clamoring for. Have a discussion with them. Invite them. What's causing the unrest in the southeast? They should have a conversation concerning it.
Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we're going to be dealing with two major issues, and we have a special guest in the building. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All rape and sexual assault cases are very serious. Joining us on the show to discuss the effects of rape from the psychological part is our in-house life coach, behavioral psychologist, the catalyst himself, Mr. Lanre Olusola in the building.
Yo.
Good to have you on the show.
Great
it's been a while.
Back. You guys fashion me.
No, I fashion you. He
fashion us because he was running from Corona. He came in with full mask and everything.
Yeah.
You have to be
yes, it's good. You can call us on 081-270-53687. You can also call us on 091-390-76948. You can tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. Lanre, we have a lot to cover, so we're going to go straight right into it. Recent times, issue of rape, sexual assault has been front burner. I mean, it's always been there anyway. And we see people coming out to fight for it. I mean, we're happy that more women are speaking up, society is responding. This is good news. I mean, we're happy that Mirabel Center is there to help the victims. But little is said about the actual psychological effects on the child. So we're fighting for that child, we're defending her, but we're forgetting that she also has a psychological part of her that is probably bruised. As adults and as mothers and fathers and parents, how do we begin to help people, young ones, the victims, boys and girls, in getting their sanity back or, retracing the steps of what has been done to them, especially when it comes to the issue of rape and sexual assault?
Thank you very much. It's really a travesty and a big challenge. But before I answer your question, I want us to first of all talk about prevention.
Okay.
And that is very, very important. Now, we have to recognize that I was listening to the newspaper headlines, and it seems like we live in a jungle.
True.
And we have to recognize that, Nigeria is fast becoming a failed state. And this is a jungle. Now, when you live in a jungle, there are different set of rules. that govern. You can't live in a jungle and expect that the rules that govern, you know, a civilized society to govern. And so first thing, parents have to recognize that, right? And we have to teach our children, and we have to empower them. So what do we do with our girls? They have to go and learn taekwondo.
For real?
They have to go and learn judo. They have to go and learn boxing.
Self-defense.
Self-defense. First,
we joke about it, but it seems like it's serious.
No, it is a serious matter. You have to know where to hit, when to hit, how to hit, and how to escape.
Why in a jungle?
First, we have to get the parents to teach it. Parents have to talk about it, which means that we cannot run away from the conversations anymore. Gone are the days where parents don't talk sex, abuse, rape with their children. And you have to start talking about it early. And you have to be able to name all the parts. Not that you're pee-pee. We're going to have a very difficult conversation. Now, and, you know, it's part of conditioning our children. We have to recondition and reprogram them. And we have to empower and equip them against the assaults. That's the first thing. Now, speaking to the issues, right? Also, we come back to parenting. Look, 1 out of 4 children, 1 out of 4 girls under the ages of 18, according to UNICEF, has been sexually abused. 1 out of 4. A population of 200 million. Right? That's 50 million. Right? Sorry, under 18, not 50 million, not the whole population, right? Now, if we looked at that, right, that tells us how bad it is. 1 in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Full stop.
Do you get what we're saying? It is too close for us to be pretending about the reality. 1 in 4. Just look around. If you have 4 girls, the tendency is that one of them may be sexually abused, right? That's the reality of the day. Now, parents need to recognize that, you know, it is more difficult for, you know, a stranger to come from outside and abuse your child. Statistics tell us, research tell us that it is somebody you know. It is somebody I know. It is that uncle that is not uncle. So stop calling that person uncle.
Yes.
It is that person that nurtures you and programs you and makes you comfortable with them that attacks, you know, at the right time. So we need to begin, right, to ensure that, you know, we put the right systems in place. That's that. Now, also, when it is uncle or your brother or your cook or somebody that does it and abuses or rapes your child, right, the parents want to keep quiet. That has a greater psychological effect on the child. Why? Because that child in his own environment, in his own home, does not feel protected. Safe. So what are the parents doing when you find out? There's so many stories, right, that the parents will cover it up. Yeah. And the abuser or the rapist is still around. The girl still sees the rapist. And life goes on. Why? Because mommy and daddy say, shh. Cousin. That is greater injustice. That will create a more deadly psychological effect on the girl.
Okay, so let me come.
Or the boy. Thank you very much.
That's where I want to come in, because I have 3 boys. And for me, there are a lot of awareness on how girls can protect themselves. There are a lot of conversations on how to prepare a girl for this abuse. But I don't hear enough about how, apart from just having the conversation, how to protect my boys. And I know that a lot of men have history of their first introduction into this thing as being abuse. So how can a mother of boys, a parent to boys, protect these kids?
Now, this is very interesting, Tokwe. Because if you go traditionally and you go and research the definition of rape and abuse, right? It is when, you know, against a person's consent, there's sexual penetration. When the, can I use the word?
No.
When the P, you know, enters the girl. When the guy, what we're saying is rape.
Only
the
affects.
Definition of rape. Classical definition of rape is when the guy penetrates with his P the girl. That's rape. Assault is when you use other parts of your body. Right? Now,
the definition is wrong from start.
From get-go. But guess what? I said 1 in 4 girls. Hey, 1 in 2 boys.
Ooh.
1 in 2 boys. I am a victim.
Why are we not talking
but
about it?
But who is talking about it? Why? Because it's now the era of women. It's now the era of, you know, the girl child. There's more danger that is being done. Why? That guy that was raped, right, has a higher tendency to rape.
So he's more.
Yeah, he's a victim. He's psychologically damaged. And we're wondering why are men promiscuous? Why can't they stay as, you know, with their wives? Why? When every house girl that comes, every auntie that comes into their house abuses them. From age 6, from age 8, from age 10.
Even
Let's
younger.
talk about the issues.
I know so many boys. I know so many men. They're men now, whose first sexual encounter was with the house girl. So many. There's this, but there's even this particular one that, because when you were talking about covering up, this was even in America. Nigerian parents, they brought the boy. The parents were looking after the boy, a teenage boy, and he started to sleep with her son. And he would bath, and she asked the boy to bath her. And then when one day she asked the son, go and bath, the boy to go and bath her son. The boy said, no.
Don't.
Uncle puts his in my anus. And the mother, you know, the mother was beside herself. Called the family, who she was looking after the family in Nigeria. No, said, no, their son can't do it. In the end, they covered it up, moved the son to another place. This was, I think, in Washington. They moved the son to Atlanta to go and stay with another family. He will go and abuse those ones children there too. You know, where that boy should be in, because he was 15, a correctional center, definitely.
You know, I would say...
Mariam, I'll let you talk after the break. Let's just take this in a minute. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So we've been learning quite a bit from Lanre. I mean, one thing that he said that struck me is the fact that the rape we see today is usually as a result of the fact that the boys who actually are the perpetrators were victims of rape themselves. Brian, let you jump in here.
Yeah, and that's where also I wanted to come, because many times, you know, when we talk about rape, I always question that, who are these people that find it so comfortable to do this thing, and how are they able to get away with it? And what are the signs if you're raising a child? Because they're people's children, that's the perpetrators. What does the parent look out for if she thinks a child of hers may have the tendency to grow up to do things like that? And what do you do on time before it becomes a rape case, a pedophilic case, you know? What do you do and when do you step in?
Well, you know, unfortunately, you know, we have a lot of absent parents. So that's another issue. Parents are not there. So they have farmed out the responsibility of parenting to the nanny. And you see, the truth of the matter is also that the female nanny is also abusing your daughter.
Yes, yes.
You know, so there really is no safeguard anywhere. You think, oh, yeah, oh, it's a female nanny that I've gotten for my daughter. That female nanny may be a lesbian. Right?
It doesn't have to be a lesbian herself.
Just so lack of discipline.
She was probably abused. So she's going to abuse.
Yes, let's talk about
that. And then there's also, you know, culture. There's also culture. You know, this is what we do. it has, look, if you ask, just do the opinion poll. Ask every man you know, were you sexually abused? And what is the effect on you? Because a lot of them will not really think about it, right? A lot of the impact of abuse plays out later on in your adult years. And so, coming back to your question, what can parents do? First, you have to be available and present. For you to even know what's going on in your environment, you need to take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, right, you say that you are busy, you are trying to make money, and so you are not involved in your child's life in those formative years. And the Jesuits say, give me a child from ages 0 to 7, right? That child, 80% of that child's personality, how they make decisions and what drives them is formed from ages 0 to 7. Give time at that time, right? You know, be very, very involved in your child's development. Talk to your child, teach them the right values, you know, let them, you know, have the right beliefs, and then observe what is going on. And when you begin to see that a child is clinging to the nanny, and it's just the nanny, that's a telltale sign. When you find out that, you know, the nanny and the child are spending, you know, quiet time together, and you think that, it's peace for me. You know, when the nanny is already saying that, look, this child, let this child, you know, sleep over, and you think, that child, when that child cries, so let that child sleep. Those are some of the things that you shouldn't, you know, be allowing, right? You would also see I mean, look, women are intuitive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know that. Yes. Let me come to the issue of those boys. Let's stay on the boys for a minute, because they're boys. You know, the boys, they don't show emotions like the girls. So you see a young boy, he's keeping to himself. Maybe he's focused on the PSC, whatever the PS3 thingy, and he's there playing games, doing his own thing. And you feel that because the boy is in his own world, doesn't like to do stuff. Are these also signs for parents? I mean, because we always assume that because they're quiet, they're boys, or they want to hang out with their friends. I mean, what can a mother do to be more observant, to be able to see if the fact that the child is being maybe abusive or maybe bullying somebody, for example, is a bad thing, or being too quiet? Are these signs, are these signals, or are these just a personality of boys?
Let me just also add to Mariah, how do you even break through that? They tend to have a wall, which people say, well, they are boys. No, they don't talk much, but so how do you connect through that wall?
Right. I mean, it's also the environment. Behavior is a function of environment. So we call behavior coping mechanisms, right? What is the prevalent climate in that home? What's happening between husband and wife? Right? Is that child feeling love? Is that child feeling accepted? Is that child giving, encouragement to express himself? Or does that child have to withdraw and depend on other things, right, to survive in that environment? So the parents need to take a step back and ask, excuse me, what kind of environment, what kind of climate, whether it's psychological, emotional, and physical environment are we creating? Because if you have an environment where the child feels threatened, the child, you know, feels that there's always fights, there's always disagreement, mommy and daddy are always shouting at each other, they are always at conflict, you know, they just don't get it. That child is going to withdraw. He's going to find a coping mechanism in the games. Why? He wants to shut out all of that because it emotionally affects him. Right? Look, we need to create a functional environment to nurture functional children. Now, what begins to happen when it's a dysfunctional environment is behavioral issues. You begin to see that the child will be fighting in school, or you know, abusing other children in school, or bullying other children in school. 2, that child would not do well in school. So the grades used to be good. But when you find out that there's dysfunctionality introduced in the home, the grades will drop. That child will not be taking care of himself, you know, physically. You know, he doesn't care the things that the child should be passionate about, the child is no longer passionate about it. The child is finding an escape, or the child doesn't want to stay at home anymore. Always seeking to going out.
Right. Okay, but you know, there's this statement that teenagers always sort of like, in that teenage process from like when they're like 12, 13, 14, go through changes that emotional, and sometimes it's all hormonal and emotional instability that causes them to withdraw. So some parenting books will tell you you should give them space to grow their independence, let them make their decisions by themselves. And sometimes you see that, like Mariah said, the world develops. So you see your child is always in his own space. How does a parent communicate with a child who is not, and you know you have that a good environment, but the child just seems to have become, I'm a big boy, I'm not hugging anymore, I want my space. How does a parent, I want my privacy. How does a parent enter into that?
Or do you even need to enter into it?
You see, there are three concepts. There's dependency, there is independency, and there's interdependency, right? What we should be encouraging is interdependency, which is, I need you, you need me, right? But I recognize that there's times that you need your space and your privacy, and I'll give you that when you need it, right? But you also need to recognize that we have to engage, interact, and communicate. And you have to learn also that in life, right, you will get married, you will be on a job, you will be on the team with other people, you will relate with other people. You cannot want to be on your own when you want to be on your own, when you need to be with other people. The child needs to learn it. So all that independent thing, right, is about engagement and conversation and agreeing that, you know what, okay, yeah, you like to be independent. At some times we will give you independence when you want it, right? Certain times you will get it. Certain times we will encroach on that independence because there will be your boss that will require something of you. Your wife will require something of you when you are married. Your children will want to spend time with you when you have children. And that is the reality of life. And so we cannot teach independence, right? And say, let's give them their time. Oh, let them be independent. Oh, it is very, very important for us to create balance, right? Now, over-dependency is also a problem. We call it codependency, right? Is also a problem when the child cannot function without you, can't make a decision without you, right? And a lot of parents are doing that today, right? Where the child is disempowered. The child cannot make a decision on its own. The child cannot go out on his own. The child cannot do anything. You have to make the decision for the child. It borders around controlling that child's life. You are suffocating that child. So parents have to create that balance.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take some phone calls and tweets. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're still on this conversation. Waike, let me let you jump in here.
I wanted to, because you talked about parents going to work and they're not being there for their children. In this society, two parents have to work. You need money to look after these children or to educate them. You know, so that's what is in your mind. What is the solution? Because the mother is not going to say, I'm going to stay at home and look after the children, and then there is no money to feed the children. The father can't.
Right. So, how do we help them?
You know, it's a very interesting question because it's also the time where we live in an era of social media influencers. There are jobs now that were never in existence then, that are in existence now that you make mad money from. You blow from it, right? Social media influencer, drone operator. There are jobs that you can do from home, especially in this dispensation of virtually working, right? The important thing is, I'm not saying parents should not work. The first thing is, what are you working for, right? You have to ask yourself, at the end of the day, what's important to you and why? A lot of people are in competition with each other. It's covetousness. My neighbor has a G-Wagon, I must have G-Wagon. My neighbor is doing this. My neighbor's children are in this school. My children too must go to this school. My friends' children are in this school. Walk your path and wait for your time. And make sure that you prioritize what is important. Look, let it not be a case of, and a lot of parents say that the reason why they are walking all this walk is for their children, right? At the end of the day, you've lost that child. So what's the walk that you have walked? It's double jeopardy. So adjust your life. Okay. And the beauty about COVID, right, is COVID has gotten us to realize that the things that we thought mattered really don't matter.
Yeah. That one hits me like, because when I looked in the cupboard, I saw all my clothes, nowhere to wear them to.
All your shoes.
All the nice
and I know you have...
Let's come back to the issue. Let's come back to the issue of pedophilia. Because the truth is that, I mean, that word has been ringing recently. And many people say that when a pedophile usually also has a community, a family, children. He has his own life. And he does that act. And there's somebody watching right now is probably a pedophile, actually. Is probably a pedophile watching television thinking, I want to help myself. What can he do? He wants to stop it. He can't stop it because obviously it's already ingrained in the system. What can he begin to do? You tell him seek help. He says, I can't afford it. What can he do by himself to stop this act that he wants to?
You know, one of the things that I find in our society is a lot of us don't know the definition of many things. So we allocate names that sound like something to something. What is pedophilia? First of all, it's a psychiatric disorder. Let me say it. We have to recognize that it's a disorder. And what is that disorder? You have an intense and preferred sexual attraction only for children. The age is 0 to 13. Right? The age of pedophilia is children between the ages of 0 to 13. Initially, it was children between the ages of 0 to 10 or 11, right? But it's been extended to 13. Now, you must be an adult or you must be a minimum of 16 years old. So if a 15-year-old boy has attraction, we would not categorize it as pedophilia, right? You must be a minimum of 5 years older. Than your victim or you're an adult. That's what pedophilia is, right? And then when we talk about how can you help yourself, it's almost like saying you have malaria. What can you do? You have diabetes. What can you do? You have depression. What can you do? You have bipolar syndrome. What can you do? You have cancer. What can you do? You have high blood pressure. What can you do? You need to sit down with an expert that understands it. But first, you must accept that I have a problem. I have a problem and I need help. And, I often say that problems, challenges like this, right, they hide themselves in secrecy. Under the shadows of darkness. So first thing, now,
tell somebody.
Tell somebody that, oh boy, I get problem. Find someone that is a confidant that you can talk to. I have this problem. I need help. Right? Speak out. And then let people hold you accountable. First thing, that they will not allow you to be alone
with children.
With a child. Because, oftentimes, right, once we are able to do it, we will keep repeating it, right? So get accountability partners that can hold you accountable, right? And also you ensure that you set boundaries for yourself as you go and get help. Those are the first set of things.
Thank you.
Okay.
creating a safe space for people who have been abused, the survivors of this attack. There are a few agents, NGOs that provide this, but some people are watching and they're hearing for the first time that maybe the reason I am unable to control my urges is because of what that person did to me, So they are now realizing their lack of discipline is a result of their abuse. What's the line of action for that person? Should they create a community? Should they get counseling? What should they first do to start undoing the damage that probably has happened years back?
So I'll tell you a story. So I had this incredible client that flew in to work with me from Sao Tome and Principe, 6'2", gorgeous, incredibly beautiful chick, right? About 28. She's been raped 4 times. The minimum number of people that raped her were 4 people. The first rape that happened was when she was in the village, right? As a young girl, age 12, by her cousin and his friends, right? And the effect on her was that she couldn't hold a relationship. Each year, she goes through about 25 men and 25 women.
What?
Yeah, each year. For the men, is control. For the women, is dominance, right? And she was an advocate against abuse.
You're kidding me.
And she was being paid top dollar. She was a millionaire in dollars. And so she had gotten to a point where she was frustrated. She couldn't keep a relationship more than a week. She had to go through, because they flew her everywhere in private jets, and she was, this prominent person. And so she got to a point where she realized there was a problem and she needed help. She wanted and she yearned for intimacy and exclusivity. She didn't know how. So she flew in one December, and I spent 3 weeks working with her. Suffice it to say that I had to take her back to the 4 rape cases, right? And, there's a therapy that we call the timeline travel and matrix reimprinting, where we take you back before the event and recreate a movie. So, right, we'll play the event as a movie. We rewind it to just before the event happened. We cut out that part of the rape or the event and replace it with something that the victim at that age wants to replace it with. Now, what happens is it has a neurological effect. Now, the beautiful thing about our brain is our brain cannot tell the difference between reality and a lie. And so when we do that therapy, right, your brain doesn't calibrate the emotions, the intensity of the emotions, and the echoes. That's the technical word that we call it. The echoes that keep, creating the attraction in your future. There's no, intense desire for it anymore. And you have to go through several other therapies, whether it's CBT,
so we need to normalize therapy.
EFT. You see, the challenge that I have is yes is the answer, right? Is we are normalizing everything else, but we seem to be dragging our feet, not realizing how bad things are with us. Now, religion, tradition, culture, right, is creating many challenges for many people today. Many people their mindsets, their beliefs, their ideologies, their behaviors are shaped by, dysfunctionalities in things that are, anchored on our religion, our tradition, and our culture. So yes, therapy, coaching, and all of those things need to be normalized.
Mainstream.
It needs to be deployed in our primary health care centers, in our hospitals, like they are doing abroad now. EFT, NLP, and all of those interventions are complementary, and they deliver quick and fast results.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll come back to Mariam. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, let's move to Mariam. You have a question.
Yeah, I do. So there was this particular case that's quite, quite popular recently about the young 14-year-old girl that was raped by this well-known Nollywood actor. And many people questioned the way in which the evidence was gathered, especially as it affects the victim emotionally. But in this case, I felt like the guardian or the parents' hands were tied because we have a system that says, well, there's no evidence. You did not give us any evidence, and usually just saying that is enough to just throw the case out. So many people have come for the guardian, and some people are saying she had no choice. What do you think, and what would have been the best way to handle that?
You know, first thing is you have to know the law. And each and every one of us need to understand the law. We have to understand the law and what the law requires for justice and equity. We have to know. A lot of us are ignorant. So oftentimes when that thing happens, right, we're emotional. We don't look out to say, okay, you know what, this has happened. What do we need to be able to get justice and equity? How do we preserve the evidence? Because it is your word against mine, oftentimes, right? So how do we preserve the evidence such that when we get a good lawyer, and I'm choosing my words very well, when you get a good lawyer, right, and present all the evidence, you have a chance. Why? Because our system is, is reading with so many issues. If you take it to the police, it's a different matter, right? And I don't want to go into that. Now, you have to ask yourself, right, that what are you empowered to do? What are the laws? Know the laws, and what are the evidences, right? It would interest you to know that we're 200 million people, and there's a prevalence of rape, abuse every day. Only 32 or 34 cases have been, successfully decided in our courts between 2019 and now. 32 or 34.
Well, is that because of lack of evidence, or just because of our culture of just shutting down people who come out to say, I have been raped, I've been abused?
All. Because there is one that came on our show. Tiny little girl. And the police...
Years back.
Yeah, a few years ago, when they hadn't burnt CVC then. And I remember I felt so bad, And till today, I don't know what happened to that little girl. Because they accused the police of being complicit and covering up because the parents of they had money. The rapists had money. It was the landlord's daughter or something. Son. Landlord's son, sorry.
And the little girl was saying it vividly, what he did to her.
Yes. What he did to her.
But I want to link this conversation now to also the abuse of maybe your house helps, your workers, this same sexual abuse. So somebody stole money from you and you strip her naked, These are how we also dehumanize people.
The molestation of workers.
Yes. So when he said you have to know the law, so you want justice. This man stole 500,000 naira, $500,000 from your living room, whatever. And the first thing to do is strip the person naked, beat them up, to force them to confuse, do a video of it before then even inviting the police. And when you even bring the police, you tell the police to beat the person up. So what is the law? What are the steps? Because these are all psychological matters that affect these victims for life.
Especially if they're not guilty.
There are different laws. So when I speak to the laws, I'm speaking to the universal laws of the universe and law as it pertains to law and order. You have to know all the laws. So universal laws is law of attraction, law of cause and effect, and a lot of those things. What you sow, you will reap. And so many things. We just need to be informed. We need to be educated. We need to be exposed, right? And we need to, look, what you have just described, right? A lot of, let's even not take it that far. Let's bring it home. How many people have educated their house girls' children or their drivers' children? But how many of such people have given billions to church building? So that person that is in your house, right, that can sell you out, that can give your daughter to the kidnapper, right? You're not sorting that person out. That person sees that you go out for dinner and you spend 100K on dinner. That person's salary is 20K, 5 months salary. A lot of us are not thinking. Your driver that takes you everywhere, that sees every single thing you do, your transactions, your conversations on the phone and all of that, you're not sorting that person out well. You think that, you know, when it comes to a situation where he finds an opportunity to show dominance,
he wouldn't.
That he has, this one have power to do this one. He wouldn't do it.
So just because.
How do you think that they feel watching your lifestyle and, you know, you treating them the way that you treat them? Their children are getting married, but they see how much you spend on your own wedding, and then you give them 20K for their own children's wedding. Meanwhile, you spend 20 million. And it's the driver that you send to go and, you know, deliver the check, you know, is hearing what your conversation with the event planner, and you think that that person will not be mean and wicked and find his own day. In that person may not even know that he's building up resentment for you. That person, on the day that, you know, he finds the opportunity, he will strike.
It will strike. Well.
The laws of the universe, right, always play out. What you attract is a function of your behavior, right? What you sow, you will reap. You know, love, empathy, care, kindness, it doesn't cost you. We need to go back to the basics. Right. We need to be human.
I want us to come back to the issue we've been discussing concerning the rape, the pedophilia, and the culture of cover-up, the culture of I don't want to be shamed, the culture of I like a woman will say, I know your father raped you, but it will not feel born. Like, how would we explain it when
that
we go to the police station that it was your father that raped you? You know, the cover-up system and its ripple effects. And how do we deal with this issue? Parents, churches,
the ministers, people you trust, loved ones.
You know, it still comes back to laws. What goes around
comes around.
Right? And we all need to just take personal responsibility for our actions, but most importantly, our beliefs. Okay. Because, look, if you hide this and your child, right, you know, sees that you hide it. I mean, I do some work with the U.S. Embassy. Daughters and fathers, we bring them together, you know, so that they can begin to bond and have conversations, right? And so in one case, right, a young girl, I think 16-year-old, right, they had just brought her from the NGO that she ran into. What happened? Her father is a pastor, big-time pastor. Her father's PA raped her. The pastor and the wife covered it up. Guess what? Months after, they promoted that PA to a pastor. What have you told your daughter, pastor? The girl ran away and got into drugs, right? Her case was so bad, right, that people were dying left, right, center, forward in those drug houses, to the extent that the friend that she went into that drug house with, right, took that drug, died next to her. And, you know, the conditions in those drug places.
Were her parents not looking for her?
The parents that did what they did, where would they look? That girl ran, right, and ran into an NGO.
It's a problem.
And ran into problem, right? The pastor, what is he preaching? The mother, what is she teaching? What exactly is the message that they have sent? I'm talking about a case that I saw live and I heard live, right? That mother, what kind of mother is that? That father, they don't realize that they are mother and father first, before pastor, before covering things up, in the congregation.
Well, goes back to what YK said, the name, what Tokwe said, the name, the reputation, the culture of silence. Listen, what they call it, that your name is so important, you don't want shame, because it's for the greater good. The pastor will say,
but that's what we're dealing with now. It's not worth it.
I'd rather lose this child than a whole congregation. That's like the thinking. Does that make sense?
No, the pastor is not thinking. He's not thinking. He's not thinking the congregation. I think the pastor, the PA, has dossier on the pastor.
Oh, okay now.
He's actually protecting himself.
It's not the child. It's selfish.
Yes. Because with this mindset, it's selfish.
I'm happy you brought that selfish, because that culture of selfishness is very prevalent in our society today. It did not exist maybe 40, 50 years ago, but over the years, it's been money first. Money is the most important thing. Me. Yes. I see it everywhere. I see it with the downfall drivers. I stop on the road, bam. I block the cars behind me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And if they're trying to overtake, I come out. You know, so it's just me, my car, my... Yeah. It's so prevalent. And it's how are we going to solve that selfish... Because that pastor, for instance, it was just about him.
Yes.
It wasn't about his child.
Yeah.
And if he had put his child first, she wouldn't have gotten into trouble.
There are many rape cases that get covered up because money exchanged hands. So a little girl gets raped, the parents would escalate it, get to the police station, and the perpetrator's family would use money to silence justice. There is under no circumstance should police let families settle court cases. Things that should have proper litigation, they will not let families to settle it, and money would exchange hands, and the policeman or policewoman will fold their hands and say, they've settled. No, because the perpetrator will go ahead and keep on doing this.
Please talk to that family right now. Talk to their families, listen to you. People listen to you right now. And they are going through this situation where husband wants to cover. Mother might not. Let me just play the feminist here. The mother will say, "This is my child. I don't want to cover this thing up." And the husband is like, "Hey, please do. There's so much at stake," and they're having that conversation as we speak. What is the right next step of action?
I think it's most important for us to recognize that first thing, these children did not beg us to be born. They did not beg you to give birth to them. And remember when you were looking for that child. Remember how you how you fasted, how you promised God, right, that, you know what, you are going to do everything for that child. And you need to also recognize that that child really is not yours. You are just a custodian. That child is God's child, right? And you have a responsibility to God to, one, nurture that child right, create the right environment for that child, and protect that child psychologically, emotionally, physically, and in every way, shape, or form. So, you have to know that if that child is given to you as a responsibility, and if we read scriptures right, there will be consequences to the gifts that are given to you, to the resources that are given to you that you do not use right. There will be ultimate consequences for it, which means you need to backtrack and ask yourself, what can we begin to do differently? What are the things that are required of you, and what are the priorities? Look, no matter what it is that you are doing, whether it's business, whether it's ministry, your first ministry is to your family. If we want to change the problems of this country, or any problems of any community, we go back to the family unit. When we begin to correct things in the family, because the rapist, the kidnapper, the armed robber, the politician that is corrupt, right? All of them come from one place, the family, which means that each of these people or these expressions are reflections of families. If we want to change this country, we need to begin to reorientate families, right? Schools, our religious institutions. Those three institutions, we need to change our mindsets, our ideologies, our beliefs, the cultures in there. So for that parent, right, it is time for you to say, you know what, what is my responsibility? My responsibility is first to that child, right, to empower that child, not to disempower that child, right, to ensure that this child is functional, not dysfunctional, to ensure that I equip this child with the right behaviors, competencies and capabilities.
I'm going to let you come in here, but using that case study you said, so that man of God maybe had his own devils or the demons that he's been hiding. So maybe what he should have done is confront those demons, maybe call his spouse, okay, this is what I have done. This is what the PA has on me.
Yeah.
And let us thrash it.
Prioritize the gift God has given you.
That's even more difficult.
Yeah.
That's even more difficult.
Okay.
Right? It's easier, right, to sit down with the PA and negotiate and release the PA. It's easier, right? It may be more difficult to say, this thing,
I want to break the entire basket.
Let me release that PA.
You know?
Pay him off.
Let me release that PA, and I will sort out myself with my daughter. But, you know, a lot of us don't think.
Selfish.
A lot of people don't think. And we need to begin to think.
And I feel now that we're discussing this, it just shows that that's what we've done over the years. And that's why we are where we are right now as a nation. I mean, we're talking of banditry, kidnapping, bombing. Can I pause you? Okay. I'm so sorry. There's a Derek that's been holding for her. He really wants to contribute. Derek, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please, go ahead. You're live.
My first time I was get you guys today.
Yes, welcome.
You guys make me miss my appointments a lot because I must watch your view in the morning.
Thank you.
A quick one. Kudos to your guest speaker. I have a small comment to make before my question. He's very right about the family values. Once I went on an appointment and we sat by the pool, me and my friend Frank. While there, a child in the pool ran to the mother with goggles, these things to cover their eyes that didn't belong to him. So the mother now said, "Where did you get these goggles?" He said, "Mommy."
What? Derek?
A sharp boy. So my friend was shocked. A child has just stolen the goggles belonging to another girl from the pool, and the mother was hailing him as a sharp boy. So your guess is very correct that the values from the home is totally warped, and it's right that it may be coming from churches or some kind of funny background that in the society these days. But my question now to him is for those who appreciate values, and maybe your child is interested in studying, maybe fine arts, but nowadays the parents want...
Oh my Lord, I really want to hear that question.
Well, but also, the gist. So I think Derek is even saying just what I was saying, which is what we're suffering right now as a nation, what we're going through is just from the family unit, how we address things, what we encourage. So we have bandits, we have kidnappers, we have people just bombing each other, and they feel that the way that they're handling whatever problems they're handling is the right way, because that was the way that they have been brought up. And I hear many times in Nigeria, we say, well, people are hungry, it's poverty. And I don't believe that. I personally believe that no matter what the situation is, you will only be who you are. Poverty cannot make you a different person. Wealth cannot make you a different person. Do you get me? So many times when people are corrupt and they say, well, we're hungry, they're not paying us well. So why would that be the reason why you're even, why should that be the reason why you behave poorly? Why shouldn't that be the reason why it pushes you or encourages you or motivates you to be better and stronger and then show example to those who are coming behind you?
You know, we always have an excuse for everything we do.
True.
We always seem to want to justify everything we do because, you know, money, right, is neutral. Takes on the behavior and the intention of this custodian, right? There are poor people that are kind and good people.
Yes.
Honest. In fact, it's their honesty that made them poor. Because they have opportunities to chop and to steal. But because of family values of honesty and integrity. And the father will tell you, remember the son of who you are. Yeah. They remain poor in our definition of. And there are some people that have stolen money. They have billions. They are still stealing. It's not the cash that is making them do it. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Even though they have billions in their account, they are still poor. Yes. Poor psychologically and emotionally. What do you need billions for, really and truly? let's strip it. It is you want to prove a point. It is, you know, you are trying to escape from something. Is that you are dealing with your own inadequacies. And so we must all strip all of this and ask ourselves at the heart of it, why? What is my problem? Why am I doing
Let me take
what
Mario.
I am doing?
You have a call?
Yes, I do. Okay. Let me take Mario, then I come to YK. Mario, are you there? Mabuja. Hello, Mario, are you there? You're live. Probably listen to the TV. Mario, are you there? You're live, please. YK, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, this one that you've just said, look, I see a lot of, I don't, because they will say I'm always referring to politicians. I see a lot of politicians, they will do videos of their houses. Oh, I have this, I have 10 houses. One, you can't live in more than one house at a time. Pata, maybe you want to have one house in England. You can't live in more than 2 houses. But why have we bred such a society that material things matter too much to us? You know, and it is the bane of our existence, our society. What is happening is...
It boils down to the family, right? One of the things that parents do wrongly, that I speak against, is a belief that I should train my children so that when they grow up, they will take care of me. I think it's the most irresponsible thing that a parent can ever do. And this pressure that you're putting on your children, they must blow. Because you need a car, you need them to buy your house or build your house, you need them to take care of your lifestyle, right? That's where it starts from. Irresponsible parents that, oh yes, I will do what I need to do to ensure that I empower my child, but that child must take care of me. Apart from his own life, he has his chief amount of school fees to pay. Apart from his own life, he now has to take care of you. I think it's a failure of a parent. That's one. Two, society celebrates these things.
Yes.
You know, we are celebrating things to the extent that we're now marrying things. So you go to a nightclub, you go to a party, you're looking at what car, the key of a man's car before you say hi to him. So is it the man that his character, his looks, his intelligence, his values, or the car? You have married the car.
That is why, if I'm a kidnapper, just because I have this bad, I'm a kidnapper, I'm a bad person.
Well, we can't justify it, YK.
No, I'm not this is what I'm saying. I'm a kidnapper. Now everybody will, because I have the money to spend.
It doesn't matter how
I make the money. Yeah. Just because I have, and it is so prevalent in our society. Nobody cares about what anybody is doing, just as long as money is.
And why did you know for me how I knew that this was going to be a problem? From the beginning, when some people talk, and you hear someone, shut up, how much do you have, Seth? For me, as a child, I felt that this can only lead to more dangerous things.
Let me take this call.
It shuts good people up. People will now shut up because they don't have much.
Do you know who I am?
Let me take this call from Funke. Funke's been holding for a while from Akure. Funke, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good
You're
morning.
live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. My name is Funke from Akure.
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right, good morning. I'm calling for the first time.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Please, Miriam asked a question the other time. She said, I haven't considered what is happening now to the 14-year-old girl issue. That what exactly is the right thing the guardian is supposed to do to get an evidence to what we are talking about? Because knowing fully well that hearing from the girl alone, without any video evidence or whatsoever, the police will never agree with you.
Thank you, Funke, for the question. I think we got the question.
Yeah, I think that you addressed it because really, at the end of the day, our laws are default, and that's the issue.
Let me know.
You see, the point in abuse and rape is one word: consent. Consent. So let's talk about rape. We're not talking about pedophilia. So she's 14, right? So technically, you see, 13-year-old, right? She's 14. So technically, we will consider that as rape.
Rape.
Oh, so it's not defilement.
Yes, technically it's not a...
But this was the sexual assault case, was because there was...
sexual assault, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's and so a 14-year-old, that's a minor. If we had laws, right, you don't need to prove anything. A 14-year-old says that this is what you did, right? First is, you know, if our laws were in place, let's talk about UK and the US. If this happened, what do you think would have happened? 14-year-old. Social workers, police,
all be involved.
See that one that killed himself, Jeffrey Epstein, you know, and that was because there
was just too much evidence.
There were just people saying, look, he has taken me as a child.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah. So the law believes the child before.
First, you know, and they will find the evidence. Yourself. The police, you know, the system works. You know, works.
It's not Bill Cosby now. How many years after?
Yeah.
You know,
and they won't stop. Even if they don't find the evidence now, guess what? They will begin to follow you.
They'll follow you.
One day they will catch you. Yeah, you don't pay.
Simple.
And that's the thing. People mustn't be allowed to pay their way through.
So the proper process could have been maybe if you were in a proper society, you report to a police that you know will defend you first of all.
Yes.
The police will take it seriously and then begin to follow this alleged perpetrator to see if they can catch him and gather evidence.
There are social workers. There's a whole system.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
there's therapy for the child. Yes. You know that you don't have to pay for. The system will pay for it. Look, there's so much in this country that we need to sort out.
That goes back to the money being our God. Forget that. We go to church and be saying God, God, God. That money is our real God. Because even in the church, when they are praying, what they say? You will make it. You will. When did you go to church? I've seen it in church.
That was then.
Testimony. My testimony is I got a job and I have money now.
It's on TV now. Everybody can watch.
Money has become the be-all and end-all of our society in this.
Okay, you don't watch the way people are doing deliverance. You don't watch those services. It's the money what you're watching. People are getting deliverance in churches.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The point that I'm making is the point that even God made. He says you cannot serve two masters, right? God understands that there are two masters in the hearts of men, him and money. He says you would either serve one or despise the other. If you serve money, right, the tenets of God, the fear of God, and all of those things that we're talking about, those good behaviors will erode you. If all that drives you is money, and it's true, a lot of people, right, go to church and sow, and they want 1,000-fold return. Why did you sow? It's because you think church is a casino.
Yes.
Not because you love God, not because you want to, you know, further the work of God. I think all of us need to really sit down and reboot.
Yeah, and then added to that, you said something about covetousness.
Covetousness,
so you go, you put that so that I can get a car, not a car that I can drive, a car that is better than Mariah's car. Because if it is not better than Mariah's car, then it's not
my God has not blessed
me. So that's it.
You know, so let love, kindness, you know, and patience, and all of those things rule our hearts.
Right. All right, Bilikis Mafe says, if only the society was ready to have this uncomfortable conversation, if we do not end victim blaming and shaming, survivors wouldn't share their stories and victims wouldn't share their ordeal for others to learn and for them to heal. Thank you for breaking the jinx. John says, good morning. How does a boy who's molested sexually at night by his classmates in secondary school reports to the principal? The principal was always screaming and fighting against sexual harassment, but this still happens, you know. So everybody just tweeted about this. They're happy that we're talking about it.
So Rolake says the society lacks justice and moral values are declining. We live in a stigmatized society and it silences most rape victims. We also feel sex is a sin in this part of the world. Not admitting it's a feeling, we have to educate ourselves.
Well, I mean, this is...
this one is to Lanre. Mr. Lanre Olusola, not just school, church, and family. You missed out the media. These are required to change or reorient a nation.
the media thing is really vital, and maybe we'll have to bring you back on this, because there was a topic we're supposed to talk to you about on cyberbullying, which is totally different, you know, and if you can just help us touch on it just a bit before we run off. The fact that a lot of people troll others. I mean, very recently we saw that the Father Mbaka's story, and everybody ran with that story as if it was fact. Yes, he was missing. I mean, he disappeared for a minute, but you didn't even give time for us to even know what happened. And people are already going with that story. Aside from that, there have been people attacks on their various personalities on social media. Today, every small thing, Desmond Elliot did it. Desmond Elliot did that. And you're thinking, what is it? These are human beings. These are people. Yes, Desmond Elliot goofed. And he publicly acknowledged that he goofed. And he apologized. But no, we keep going. So is this mentality of irresponsibility that you talked about earlier, and I'd like you to just address it, just a bit. We'll talk it extensively, we'll talk about it maybe later, but for today, just touch on it very quickly, and how can we, as a people, begin to take responsibility in what we post?
I mean, look, everything is a reflection of who and what we are, how we think, right? And you know, people that go on social media is a fantastic platform. Media is a fantastic platform, but it still takes on the character, the mindset, and the behavior of the people. This is who we have become as a nation. This is where the world is tending. People are angry. People are frustrated. People are resentful. People are in pain. And so they have to express. They have to vent. So if you are the object,
allow it.
If you are the object, they will vent on you. Right? If YK is the object, they will vent on people. Let's look at the blogs. Read all the comments in the blogs. 90% of them are vicious. It is an expression, and it is the same thing with people raping. It is the same thing it's the same thing with you know, crime.
Larry, I have to cut you off at this time. We run out of time. Well, thank you very much. Such a pleasure. Okay, so this month we're celebrating YK's birthday. She's going to be 60 Monday 24th. Yeah. We're dressed themed like her. Yeah. And she looks to behind her. There's something that's waiting for her behind you.
Wow. That was nicely played. Nice.
So we have another gift for YK. Please, could you pass it over? We have to celebrate your birthday. We are giving you the small gifts.
Happy birthday.
Towards
Thank you. I'm not going to do it.
Thank you. But tell us what is in it.
You supply.
All me to paint and paint.
So if you know YK, you know that she would paint her nails to match her outfit for the day.
Oh my goodness, who thought of this?
And you know, this is really key. That we give people what they really value.
Yeah.
Right? We celebrate people by virtue of what they need.
Oh wow. Look,
all the colors.
Wow.
So
thank you, ladies.
Welcome.
I'm not allowed to come up and hug you.
No.
We'll hug you after.
So the idea really is, because you're such a valuable person to us, we value you, you're special to all the ladies, and we feel that it's your month, and even Tope has graciously allowed us to celebrate you this month, because her birthday is coming up very soon also. But you know, this month we're celebrating you just to show you how special you are. Yeah. We'll continue to theme and then give you something lovely.
Thank you.
So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm so touched. Thank you.
All right, Lanre, thank
it's
you
not my birthday till the 24th, so
yes, we're just making a fuss over it, but don't worry, it's all good. Lanre, thank you for joining us today. We love your contribution. Cyberbullying, we're going to come back and talk about it because it's become a culture. It's become really a culture, and we need to talk about that.
Sure.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. I hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.